All right, so as I was saying, this is better flipping. I've flipped a house, we made over $300,000, and then I'm telling a story about my uncle's flip where he bought a retail center and they made over $6 million over a course of 3 years. When we sold this property, we got a wire of over $550,000, and that was probably one of the most exciting days of my life. So this is up in the Woodlands. This is a 26 Water Tree Drive. This is a 4,500 square foot house in the neighborhood of Grogan's Point. So anybody, can everybody hear?
What's the square foot?
This is a 4,500 square foot house. And so we got this house under contract for $475,000. We did a rehab of $450,000. And we paid over $70,000 in interest and points, and for a total cost of almost $1 million, $994,000. This was not my first deal. This is probably about the 45th or 50th deal we did. And when we bought it, I don't think we realized how big the house was, because when we bought it, it was hidden behind trees, and let me get to that in a second. So let me tell you how I financed this. So we went and we used a hard money loan. We got a $515,000 first mortgage. We borrowed $100,000 from my family and another $90,000 from an investor, and we put another $290,000 into the deal. So that was all the financing that goes into it. Location-wise, is anybody familiar with the Woodlands? Okay, so the very front of the Woodlands is a neighborhood called Grogan's Point. So they have the golf courses, runs through the neighborhood. I wanted to give you an idea. So back to the landscaping idea. So when we bought the house, it looked like this, and we couldn't really see the house. And so one of our first projects was tear down the trees so we could see the house. And so a lot of people in the Woodlands are really, really nice about their trees. So we came in on a Saturday and we cleaned up the front yard so you could see the house. And so that kind of goes back to the first rule when you're selling a house, right? You want to be able to see the house and you want a nice curb appeal. Secondly, we went and rehabbed the kitchen. So this was the original kitchen we had. And we came in and, I mean, you can probably guess what we did. We did white cabinets, rehabbed it, and turned it into a multi-million-dollar property. The backyard was our biggest challenge. They actually had a pool in the yard when we bought the house, and we thought that that was not going to work. So we actually brought in an excavator, demoed the pool, built a new pool, and finished it off. So sodded the whole yard, brought in a bunch of trees, redid the fence. We built out a pool house, and the whole works. When you're expecting, if you go buy a house down here in Memorial, or you're buying a house in any part of town, that you just expect a nice house. To finish it off, the living room was the old 1980s living room. We updated that with the white cabinets, repainted the brick, and repainted all the walls. We added the plantation shutters as well. So, and these are just a final couple pictures. So this house had a open concept kind of living and kitchen area, and then we had the master bath. So they had the nice garden tub there with a kind of walk-through shower behind there. So, all right, final numbers. Anybody want to guess what it sold for?
Well, if it's $1 million and you made $300,000.
Yeah, we got $1,430,000. We never listed it on the market. It was an all cash deal. So that was a pretty good day. $994 in cost, $60,000 in realtor fees and closing cost, for a total profit of over $375 or $374. So that was a fantastic deal. I think we made 37% profit margin, and the annualized return was about 56%. So while I was doing that, I thought that was a great deal. But my uncle was out here. He was out shopping for retail properties, and so this is up in College Station on Texas Avenue. And so Texas Avenue was getting redone. So this is like the 2013, 2014-ish time frame. And so Texas Avenue was 2 lanes, and they were widening it to 3 lanes, and so everything was closed down. So this property, we're on the heels of '08, and so there's still downturn going on. Well, this place, the big furniture store, had gone out of business, which was probably 75% of the space in the building. And whatever management firm decided that they didn't want it anymore, so they listed and sold it for $2.9 million. He had about $2 million of repairs, and so they had to replace the roof. And then obviously, if you don't know retail, when tenants move in, you pay for part of what their costs are to build out. And so they had about $1 million of repairs and $1 million of tenant improvements. The property size is 9 acres, or just under 9 acres, 8.9 acres, and they had a gross leasable area of 99,000 square feet. So they paid a little under $30 a foot. So if we could buy retail single-family properties for $30 a foot, we'd be all over that, right? So anyways, when they bought the property, they had a negative NOI. The occupancy was only 20%. And so I got to stop here and tell you a quick story. My uncle brought in 4 partners to be in this deal. I think they had to put up $250,000. And so when you buy any kind of apartment complex or any kind of commercial space, you typically have 90, 120, 180 days to close on these properties. And so during that time, well, instead of sitting on a retail space that's empty, he went out and started marketing. And so he's talked to some people. He found a tenant called Planet Fitness, and they took up like 8,000 square feet. He found another tenant called College Depot, and they took up another 8,000 square feet. And so by the time he was all ready to go, he had almost 80% of it leased out. So that was the closing plus 1 day. So they're getting down to closing. They're 1 day before closing, and my uncle's best friend was going to invest with them. And they decided that they had a conversation the night before, closing's the next day. And his friend was going through the numbers, and he's like, I just don't think this is going to work. And he pulled out the day before. Day before closing. So they close, they lease everything out, and so their equity went from $250,000 in 1 day, it became $1 million. So he just walked away from 4 times his money in 1 day. So 80% leased at sale, they were up to 93%. They got the NOI up to $775, so they're getting over $50,000 a month. More than that. $60,000 a month in positive cash flow, split 4 ways after paying their notes. And they sold it for a whopping $12.9 million. So these are some rounded off numbers, but they put about $2 million into the deal, and they made about $6 million over a three-year period. So yeah, it's too bad, right? Oh my goodness, they finished off with a 300% return. So anyways, I wanted to talk because we have 3 different groups, right? We have the people who have already been there, we have the people that are just starting, and we have the people that have done a couple deals. And so if you're just starting, I would recommend flipping properties. And I'm not saying like flip properties like buy it, rehab it, and sell it. Buy something with equity and sell it, make $10,000, and go find another one, do it again. I've bought properties before, they had equity, and I thought, I'm going to do a big rehab on this property. And at the end of the day, I lost money on the deal where I had equity day 1. So sometimes you get into that. 2 is, I wouldn't say you have to do deals and move walls, right? Like you're not buying a property to go out and be the Chip and Diana Gaines up in Waco. Everybody watches those shows. You're buying properties that have equity day 1. So you need to clean them up, which is like paint, maybe change the countertops, and make it simple. That's my biggest takeaways.